Rock, beat, scissors, baby!
The all-new Corolla Cross GR Sport. Cross boundaries.
Well, as the load shedding crisis continues, Eskom has the rumour mill turning. That's as the Sunday Times reported that the presidency has met with the Department of Public Enterprises about shaking up the leadership at the state-owned entity. Joining me now to share the business sector's sentiment on this is the CEO of Business Unity South Africa, Cas Coovadia. Thank you so much for your time, Cas. Now, of course, the country wants to start seeing heads roll as it seems that the country's energy crisis shows no signs of abating. And often the Eskom executive has been criticized for not having the appropriate technical skills for engineering-focused solutions at Eskom. And in fact, Thabo Mbeki over the weekend said that Eskom is a big engineering institution and it is a big energy business. It needs engineers at the helm, but instead we have doctors and politicians, of course, one of them being the chair of the Eskom board that has a medical degree. So is a change in the executive where the concentration should be right now, or is that maybe a little bit misguided?
Well, I think that if there are gaps in the executive as far as engineering and other skills goes, then I think that the executive needs to be strengthened by putting those skills in. I do know that business has seconded some engineers to Eskom. If there are still gaps in the structure, then those gaps must be filled. I'm not convinced that a change in the entire executive is the route to go at this point in time. I think that what needs to be done is identify the gaps and fill those gaps with the necessary expertise. There's also been sort of talk that the board is going to be strengthened, and we have called for that for quite some time. Even the chair of the board actually has indicated time and time again that the board does not have the necessary expertise from an engineering point of view, financial point of view, and others, which is quite unacceptable, actually. So if the board is strengthened and any gaps in expertise is actually filled, that will begin to send out the message that the government is serious about this and is actually moving in the right direction. So we would certainly encourage that. But then we would also say that other messages need to be sent. So Eskom needs to be very clear and transparent on an ongoing basis of whether they are succeeding in buying energy from wherever they can actually secure energy. We need to be absolutely clear, and government needs to take the public into its confidence to, on a regular basis, brief the public on exactly how the president's plan is moving forward. We have been doing quite a bit of work with the government on that, and we are confident that a lot of work is being done. But I think that what needs to be done is government needs to, on a consistent basis, communicate these things to the public so that the public is aware, investors are aware, and we can actually instill some confidence in the process.
All right, Kat, so I think from what I'm getting from you is that a message does need to be sent because really we are in a state of crisis right now, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a leadership change that is needed, but maybe more of a boosting of leadership to fill in those gaps where engineering expertise is needed. So I'm wondering right now, because of this need to send a message, of course, there are talks that there might be a shaking up of the board. And of course, one of the problems with Eskom over the years has been the instability of the leadership. So could Eskom be able to survive another leadership change at this point?
Look, I think that's why I'm saying that I think to change the entire leadership at this point will actually take us back.
Yeah.
We need to hold the leadership to account, absolutely, and that's why a strong board is necessary with the necessary expertise, so that the board can play the role that a board should be playing, which is to actually hold the executive to account The board, it's very difficult for the board to hold the executive to account if the board doesn't have the necessary skills on the board itself at a strategic level.
Yeah.
So the board must play the role of holding the executive to account and ensuring that the executive actually delivers on what is agreed with the board. And then the board should also identify where there are gaps either in the executive or in other structures just below the executive and ensure that those gaps are full.
Yeah.
And the government as the sole shareholder currently needs to enable the board to do that. So we need to sort out that whole governance continuum, if you like. And we need to do that, and the public needs to be informed how that is being done.
And what about fingers pointed at Gwede Mantashe and Pravin Gordhan? Because also Thabo Mbeki mentioned that political leadership is to blame.
Yeah, I mean, undoubtedly political leadership is critical as well. And I think that from our point of view, what needs to happen is that those ministers that are in some way or other responsible for energy, for Eskom, need to talk with one voice.
Okay.
Okay, we too often have one minister saying something and another minister saying something else. Either they talk with one voice, and that voice has got to be that we have a serious crisis here. And what we need to do is we need to, one, deal with issues to at the very least ameliorate the crisis, because load shedding is not going to go away now.
Yeah.
If the president's plan is implemented and needs to be implemented quickly, we'll probably begin to see the impact in 18 to 24 months, right? But right now, government, and whether it's Minister Mantashe or Minister Gordhan or whether it's the president cut his trip short. Well, the president should then take hold of this, and the president needs to announce that this is what we're doing to at least ameliorate the current situation, so that we're looking at, I don't know, whether, I mean, one of the options Eskom has talked about is whether we have permanent load shedding at stage 2, for instance.
Yeah.
Those are options we need to talk about. At least that creates some degree of certainty in how we're going to manage this. And the president needs to say what government is doing to enable Eskom to buy energy, buy as much energy as it can, and how soon that's going to get onto the grid. What government is doing to fill the gaps at Eskom and so on. And take the public into your confidence. Show that you are treating this as a matter of extreme urgency, and I think that will begin to lift a lot of the heat.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time and for your insights today, Cas. That was the CEO of BUSA, Cas Coovadia. Let's check in with Darling and the DW team now for an update on the Italian election.